I was thinking a lot about like motivation and stuff this weekend where that comes from. I was thinking about like in our time, like in my lifetimes, they've had, we've kind of lost, like you can't really fail anymore. I mean, you can fail, but we've kind of built this society in America that you'll be taken care of. Like if you lose your job, you can sit at the house for a while. Next thing you know, a thing comes in the mail, says, "Oh, you're unemployed. You can collect unemployment." Oh, okay, cool. Now I'll collect unemployment, right? You could be in a house, you get, evicted. Next thing you know, you can maybe get a mobile home. If you could take your house with you now. You could get a halfway house. You could get half of a house. You could get an apartment. You could get a fourplex. Like you could get a tent. In LA, there's 4 dudes living in just on the street, like literally 30 feet from my apartment. There's 4 tents. In the park behind my apartment complex, there's probably, I bet there's 100 tents in there. People living in there in tents. It's like you could just keep kind of going through the system, Like you can, like I feel like a long time ago it would be like, and I guess the tents, that's like actually being homeless, but it's like we've kind of built this society where it's you have to make your own motivation, because it used to seem like back in the day, like in the Great Depression or Benedict Arnold or something like that, or if there was like a big flood or anything, like you might die. You might die. So there was this thing inside of your head that, this fight or flight kind of thing that like got you up every morning. You had to, like you had to survive. Like the survival instinct was alive inside of us. And because it needed to be there. It was like a pilot light, like on your heater downstairs, on your water heater. That pilot light to survive was in us. But now, in America anyway, it feels like survival it's kind of like we've become grandfathered into it. It's almost guaranteed. And I know I'm not saying that there's not like, addiction and things like that can really take people off their course. But outside of addiction and mental illness, you'll always be taken care of kind of in America. So I wonder if that's starting to like kill our survival instinct that's inside of us. I think about that, like, because I start thinking, one thing I always loved was I've always loved in my life was just feeling like the underdog. Just that survivor instinct, that thing like, that dirty little M&M, that Marshall Mathers that lived in the base of your brain. That thing that got you like, I got this. I can take care of me. I will survive. Because you had to, I felt like a little bit more when I was growing up. But now it's gotten a little more like, oh, everybody's going to survive. The government, everyone will be taken care of. There will be a stipend. Everybody will. And I'm not saying that that's wrong, but I'm saying that that's killed that survival instinct and that pilot light inside of us. That like, I feel like that's killed it. Like, so now you got to find your own motivation. You got to find, and that's why I think there's so many things out there that like motivation is such a big thing now, because we got to find our own motivation. We got to find it, because that pilot light that was in our brain, that was our motivation. That thing, it doesn't want to burn bright if it knows that everything's going to be okay. Fight or flight, or just, catch this check off the govy and fucking, post up at the Days Inn for a month. I'm out here eating, being a freaking bad boy out here at the Hampton Inn. Out here, buying crushed leather off the internet, buying fake crushed leather. It's like there's nothing to take care. It's like we don't need, the survival instinct it's become sedated in America because we don't need it. We don't need it as much anymore. And what I'm saying is, I got to remind myself, since we're in a time where it's like everybody gets taken care of no matter what, which I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm saying it kills a little bit of the humanity in us, that, that drive. Because that drive, it's like that's reactionary. That's that fight or flight. And I feel like now the reason there is so much motivational stuff out there is because we need it as humans. Because there's a net under us all the time now. You don't see that trapeze bad boy, a dude out there in tights. Little Larry gets out there for the first time in tights trying to trapeze. He comes off that first swing going for the second, and he misses that bitch, And next thing you know, he gets remodeled by the earth. And next thing you know, the elbow's connected to the spleen. He's remodeled. Because there used to be no net there. You could if you didn't take care of yourself, who knows what happened. You got kicked out the house. Maybe there wasn't any government assistance. Next thing you know, you're in a mental health facility. Next thing you know, you wander outside of there. And they got another dude who's homeless out in the woods. He's been shooting arrows out there, and you take a frickin', you take one of those Native American fucking, the arrow, basically a number 2 pencil from a Native American, right into the neck, and you're out. But now there's the net. So, Larry with them wild hips, that trapeze freaking future, fancy pants, he could try 1,000,000 times. He'll be fine. So he has to create his own motivation. We have to create our own motivations now. And so that's just, some of the things I've been realizing, like that fight or flight that was in me when I was young, some of that, when I was a child, some of that's gone. Sometimes I think like, you think it's going to be inside of you. And it's not inside of us as much anymore. And that's why I find myself looking to senior, people that are senior to me for motivation. Because the motivation isn't, that fight or flight is not built into us anymore. We're being nurtured in an environment here, I feel like, and I could be wrong. I could be so wrong, dude. I'm wrong about a lot of stuff. Not this hair, but I'm wrong about a lot of things. But I feel like we're being nurtured in a society where we can't fail, where you're always going to get bailed out. Oh, you burnt your leg off? Here's another leg. Oh, you can't taste nothing anymore? You did too much drugs, or you was drinking bleach at the laundromat? Well, guess what? We got you this taste and eye dog. We got you a taste dog, and when you taste something, he'll bark. If it tastes sweet, he'll bark 3 times. If you taste something and it's salty, he'll bark once. So now you got a taste. You got one of them. You got one of them taste bud Bichons, and so if 7 times for caramel, he'll bark 7 times. I think that was only 6. But you know what I'm saying? You got a taste bud, you have a little animal. That's the world we live in. Oh, you can't breathe? We got a fucking dude who will stand here next to you and breathe for you and tell you what it's like. Like, you can't fail anymore in America. You can fail, but you can't feel like you fail. So whatever it is, and look, if you guys have thoughts on this, hit the hotline, 985-664-9503. But it's that pilot light that's inside of us, that sink or swim. If we always know that every time we sink, the bottom is going to come up and meet our feet, then man, at a certain point, the desire for us, the fear of sinking all the way, it's going to leave my children won't know it, because how would I ever instill it to them if it doesn't exist? So we have to create our own motivations. That's what I'm saying. The motivation is not going to come within right now from us as much as it's going to start with outside of us. The fight or flight instinct now has to start outside of us. And so that's why we go to people. That's why I listen to people like Coco Diaz and Joe Roggins, and who else? Davy Crockett, that bad boy. Dude, you try to fucking fight somebody in a coonskin cap and win. Yeah, man.